Hello, welcome back to the channel. I'm coming at you today with a review of Black Widow, the most recent MCU movie. I got to see this in a theater. It's also on Disney+, but I'm glad I saw it in a theater because the sound when that MCU intro played just gave me chills. And it was a great theater experience, which I think made me like the movie more. Should this movie have come out sooner? Not sooner because of the pandemic, but sooner because of the timeline of the MCU. That's a tricky question for me because this movie is set between Civil War and Infinity War. And I think that in a sense, it feels strange to be stepping back into the past at a time when in the MCU we're really moving forward with new characters. But at the same time, I think that this movie recontextualizes a lot about Natasha's story that makes me like her ending in Avengers Endgame a lot more, and I'll talk about that more in just a minute. Would I have preferred to have gotten it sooner? Yes, but the fact that it's coming out in Phase 4 doesn't hurt the movie for me. I was worried that box office-wise it would be hurt by the fact that it was delayed so many times, but I'm glad to report that it's the highest box office opening domestically since The Rise of Skywalker. I think that's great news. The movies are coming back, and I think that's a great thing about this movie as well. I wasn't extremely hyped about this movie, not as much as I am about some upcoming MCU projects, but I was still excited for it, and I would say I was pleasantly surprised in the sense that it gave me more than I expected. Scarlett Johansson is great. All of the acting is great. All of the heroes in this movie are great. Florence Pugh, I felt like, really stole the show. I love her in everything she's been in, and I think she's an excellent actor. She's really funny. She sells the action perfectly. And I think she brings a lot of emotion and gravity to this character and believability to the role that I just think she stole the show. I can't wait to see her in more stuff. David Harbour, I thought, was another standout. I thought he was really funny, and I'm super glad he was in this movie. Rachel Weisz was good too. I just felt like she had a little less to do. In terms of villains, I felt like the villains were pretty underwhelming. They made an attempt to tie them into Natasha's story in a way that was emotionally compelling, and some of it worked and some of it didn't. I thought that especially Taskmaster had a lot of wasted potential. The action in this movie is excellent. The music is fantastic. It's very well shot. Kate Shortland did a great job directing this movie. I don't think I've seen anything else by her, but I'm excited to see what she does next. Maybe some more within the MCU. I know she mentioned wanting to do another Black Widow movie, possibly with Florence Pugh. I'm 100% on board with that. I won't spoil anything, but I also feel like the post-credit scene alone is worth the price of admission on this one. I loved the post-credit scene. It made the movie better, it made the MCU better, it made me hyped for what's to come. I loved the post-credit scene. But I just liked this movie a lot overall. In terms of pacing, I had some issues. I thought the first act felt a little aimless. Before we knew what was really happening, it just sort of felt meandering and not in a good way. I also felt like the last act was a bit rushed because we spent so little time with all four main characters together. I swear the four members of the family had less than 2 minutes on screen together, all four of them. So I wish we saw a little bit more of that team sort of together, especially before we got into the last act. But overall, I had a great time with this movie. I thought all of the acting was great. The action was fantastic. The villains were a little underwhelming, and the pacing was a little bit off, but everything else I really loved. So it's a big recommendation from me, especially if you're a Marvel fan. You're gonna see this movie no matter what. If you can, I definitely recommend seeing it in a theater because I had a great time seeing it in a theater, and I think you will too. But if you watch it from home, that's totally cool as well. So let me know in the comments what you thought of Black Widow, and go ahead and subscribe and like. There's lots more Marvel stuff coming in the future, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.